Hi, I'm Kate. I'm an artist and a neuroscience coach, and today's art as meditation practice is a simple little practice to help us find how we're feeling, feel those feelings, and let them go again. So getting to something painty, and let's get joyful. For today's practice, we are going to need a palette, 2 pastels, I've gone yellow and black, 3 paints. Doesn't matter what colours you use, but I'm going orange, pink and blue today. And I'm going to be using a 1-inch brush. I'm going to be using a smaller brush. And I'm going to be using my scruffy old trusty brush. Start off with, I've got a pastel. And all I'm going to do is find out how I'm feeling with this pastel on this paper. So I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to let my hand draw over the paper. Let it go wherever it wants to go. Push as hard as it wants to push. Scribble if it needs to. Start to connect to my actual feelings. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just about finding where we are in this exact moment. Letting out the noises. Apparently the noises want to come out today. Wow. Noises are great. They regulate the nervous system. Now yours won't look like mine because we're different people having different experiences. Yours will look exactly as yours needs to look. But now that I've got my base, what I'm going to do now is start with some colour. So I've got my palette here. So I'm going to start with blue. And this is the part of the process where we breathe. So I'm going to dip my brush and I'm going to inhale. And as I exhale, I'm just going to let it fly wherever it wants to go across the paper. Breathe in and dip. Exhale onto the paper. And what I'm doing is I'm following on the feelings that I was feeling when I used my pastel. Breathe in. Exhale. And I'm just letting it all come out as it needs to. I'm not worrying about where it goes. I'm not worrying about what it looks like particularly. I'm feeling my feelings on the page with my brush. And I'm breathing, and that's where my whole focus is going, on my breath. And I'm letting wherever the brush wants to go, I'm letting it go there. You can't get this wrong. And exhale. Let it all come out of your hands, that come out of you through the brush. I'm now going to go in with my second colour. I think my second colour is going to be pink today. And I'm going to swap brushes now to my 1-inch. I'm going to put a little bit of water on this one. I'm going to carry on breathing, and I'm just going to start to fill in where I can see some white gaps, but I'm still all about getting the colour onto the page, feeling my feelings. Because this brush is a different shape, I'm starting to experience my feelings differently. Because this brush allows me to do really long, big strokes. I can't quite scribble in the same way as I scribbled with my last brush. There we go. Long, slow exhales. I'm going to go back to my small brush. I'm not going to worry about the paint too much. Mixing it all up on the palette. Just going to start going in again now, because I wasn't quite ready to let go of the scribbling sensation and the ferocity that I can get with this brush. I'm going to start mixing up the paint on my brush in my palette, going from blue to pink. I'm going to start finding all the little gaps on my page. Start feeling all of those emotions starting to reduce. I'm starting to feel the calmness coming in behind. And that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm trying to achieve when I do this. It's a chance for me to feel my feelings in a way that's really, really safe, and to help me notice what it is that I'm experiencing in this moment, because I'm teaching my brain how safe it is to be connected to my body, because I let my body feel all the things it needs to feel in a really safe way. And exhale, calming down, feeling peaceful, going all the way up to the edges. We can see that it's loaded up onto the brush. I'm just going to start putting it on sideways, because this isn't about perfection. This isn't about making that amazing portrait or anything. This is purely feelings. This is purely about feeling the feelings that we've got inside in a safe way. Now, what I'm going to do is use my brush, because now that I'm starting to feel a bit calmer, if I start to push hard over where I've got the pastel, we'll start to see it coming through. So this is my last burst of that really intense energy. I can start to pull up all that pastel colour that sits in the background by rubbing the paint that's not quite dry. I'm also getting these really lovely brush marks. And I love seeing these brush marks, because these brush marks demonstrate my feelings. I brush so hard I've taken my page off. Imagine that. Stick it back down and we can carry on. There we go. Pulling up the pastel from underneath. Lovely. Oh, big exhales. There we go. Okay. So now I've still got some bits of white, and you can absolutely leave them if you want to, but this is going to be the last part of my meditative moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a third colour, and I think actually I'm going to go orange today. I'm going to get my smallest brush, not in my life obviously, but just for today. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start to fill in with my small brush any of those white gaps. And as I paint in the little white gaps, I start to come back to feeling how I want to feel today. These allow me just to focus on this moment right now. And I'm not looking at the big picture, I'm just looking at all the little white gaps. Just allowing myself to feel just a bit peaceful. And as I breathe, my breathing becomes a bit more gentle. There we go. I'm going to get a bit of water in on this now, I think. In on the brush. Mixing the paint on the page. There we go. Might bring some of that pink back in to fill up those little edge gaps. Mixing it with the orange. Finding all the little spaces. Coming back to myself. Oh, really slowly and really calmly. There's nothing else I need to do right now. Breathing slowly, breathing really calmly. The picture's been moving all over the page today because it's blue tacked down. Because it's the back of an old painting. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's definitely a little bit wandery. That's okay too, because none of it has to be perfect. This is where we teach ourselves. We are allowed to just be exactly as we are, because this in this moment is a perfect example of who we are. No judgment. We can turn off that voice in our head and just let the colour go across the page. Breathing into the brush, noticing how we're feeling. One last bit, maybe we'll dip into the blue just for this top section along here. Feeling calmer already, hey? Now you go whatever pace you need to go at. As long as it feels right, that's what's important. As long as it feels like you are letting yourself be how you need to be and feel those all important emotions. Just recognize where you're at today. There's no pressure to be anywhere else, function in any other way. Now, have I got all the white bits? I think I've got all the white bits. There's one last tiny white bit over here. And if I want to again, I can brush into those lines and pull up the pastel underneath. Really make it pop through. It's the fun of using the yellow, I think, the base layer, but then I really love colour. There we go. Those little dots, all those marks we made at the beginning, and getting a new life now as we start to uncover them. And it's a way to start to recognise that if we were maybe feeling stressed or upset or worried, that all those feelings can turn into something amazing if we let them. Because they're part of our human experience, they're part of being alive, and they're a part of being healthy. Okay, lovely. So to finish the picture off, I like to draw stars, and I like to draw my house, because my house is a representation of me in my moment. In this moment right now, my house is my body. My house is where I live. So because I let myself and I let the version of the child that I was draw houses, because when we're children, we draw what we feel. We don't draw what we see. We just express ourselves. And I found so much joy in drawing like I was 6 again. So I am going to draw my house as though I was 6, because this is another way for the small part of my brain, the little part of my brain that's stamping its foot and trying to get heard all the time, to have a voice. So I'm going to use my little black pastel and I'm going to draw a house with a big pointy roof and a front door, and I'm not worrying about whether it's perfect and the lines are straight. What I want is to feel fun as I'm putting those lines in a big chimney. I'm going to get my yellow pastel back. I'm going to colour in that roof. Maybe not all the way, and I'm going to put some yellow into those windows just because I like it. Or maybe colour in the door handle. There we go. And the great thing about pastel is if you don't like it, you can get a wet wipe and you can rub it off again once it's on top. And now I'm going to use my yellow and my black, and I'm going to draw some stars. Because stars are were a really important moment for me. Because drawing my own stars allowed me to realise that that's me. That's what I can do. And that's enough. They don't have to be perfect. They get to shine in the sky above our house, light up our homes, you know, in the dark of the night. They're amazing. They're always there. Showing us where our homes are. We used to read the stars in the sky, didn't we? It was part of how we kept ourselves safe as people. Imperfect, perfectly imperfect, because they're mine and yours are yours. There we go. Gonna maybe do a little bit of yellow across the bottom there, a little bit of shadow, as though there's a moon. And that is how I'm feeling today. And that version of me is perfect. And your version of you is perfect. So just to close out, I'm going to put a little hand on my chest, take a big breath in, exhale, and say, thank you. Thank you for turning up today. Thank you for feeling my feelings. Feels good. Hope you feel good too.